again the 21-22 version of the HAC. We clearly have not solved the chat program, so please use the raise your hand function. If you have a question, if things work out during the course of the meeting, we'll let you know, but it hasn't continued to function.
It looks to me like it's working.
Well, it works for us as panelists, but it doesn't necessarily work for attendees at this point. So we're not the measure by which functionality actually exists. So Steve Offerman, are you online? Can we make sure Steve Offerman is on? Is he
I don't
online?
see him on Sandy.
Okay.
He was.
So if
Sorry, he was in the attendees. He's joining right now.
okay,
I just added him to
super. So
panelist.
Ivy, if you can promote him to panelist for us, please.
I think I promoted myself.
Great. I don't see you yet.
Well, that's interesting. I don't see myself now.
There
Hi.
you are. Now we see you. Hi.
Hi.
So it's with pleasure that I introduce Steve Offerman, who is attending our meeting for the first time on behalf of County Supervisor Linda Parks. She is our county supervisor. Steve, thanks for telling us a little bit about yourself and sharing the invitation that you've brought. The UCAM office tomorrow will be including the brochure you sent me earlier today on the event in tomorrow's e-blast. So we'll try to get it all out to everybody, but please.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Steve Offerman in County Supervisor Linda Parks' office. I joined her office in December after transitioning from County Supervisor Steve Bennett's office, where I had worked for 20 years. Steve Bennett has moved on to the State Assembly. Before that, I worked in the City of Ventura and County of Ventura planning departments, and I have a bachelor's degree in planning and a master's in public administration. I focus on planning, land use, public works, and environmental matters. So she has put me in as the liaison with your committee and with university matters generally. She has, many of you know, the current chair of the Site Authority, which is a multi-agency governmental organization in concert with CSUCI. They do have some role in the update of your bylaws and operating rules. So there is that direct connection there. I know that will be a topic of an agenda item at a future housing joint authority meeting in the near future. Anything else?
Super. Well, you sent us an event announcement that Supervisor Parks is hosting a week from today. And I think it's one that our community, especially some members of our community that I know are online now, would be interested in. So if you talk a little bit about the town hall you're holding next week.
Right. Well, I'm sure everybody's aware California once again is in a very high fire danger situation, as we are here with the drought in Ventura County. Fortunately, we haven't had mild temperatures and low winds and haven't had any issues. But on Thursday, July 26th at 6:30 p.m., Supervisor Parks is hosting a fire safety town hall at the Oak Park Community Center in Oak Park, 1000 Canaan Road. And we'll have the fire chief there. We'll have CAL FIRE there. We'll have some nonprofits that are working on fire safety and fire preparedness. We'll have experts in vegetation management, and it'll be very worthwhile for people who are interested in those topics. And I would encourage your organization to send a representative or two. It will not be videotaped or live streamed. However, key presentations will be posted on Supervisor Parks' website after the meeting. In
So,
terms
so
of,
I'm intending to kind of invite the whole community. I know that we won't have that kind of attendance.
Right.
If we, rather than appointing people, are you good with us just making
Yes,
a general
yes,
information? I mean, we have some certified folks in the neighborhood, I think would be particularly interested in getting the update that you're doing.
yes. It's open to all, so yes, Supervisor Parks did want to invite University Glen, yes.
Super, super. Well, I hope members of the community will look at the brochure you're going to get tomorrow in your e-blast and consider attending, because I think it's information we all need. It's likely to be a long, hot summer and fall, and the danger doesn't go away.
Indeed. The county has really stepped up our fire department preparedness. I don't know if you read in the paper, but we did buy 2 large new helicopters, which tripled the water drop capacity of the fire fleet in Ventura County. And we also entered into a collaborative agreement with the insurance industry for 2 more essentially short-term temporary helicopters. So we're in a much better position than we have been in previous years.
I was out of town and missed that news article, so I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah, if you search on the Ventura Star, you can find it, I'm sure. Some pretty pictures of helicopters.
Well, it's glad to know that we can put water where we need it quickly. One of our members, Steve, has a question that he'd like to ask, and not asking for an answer today, looking maybe for you to, as you join us next month, to bring an answer. Tom, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, hi, Steve. Maybe this is more of a favor in some ways. Steve, we've been trying to understand our tax relationship with the county, property tax,
Yes.
and how it all comes back to us through the site authority in terms of services. So what I'd like to ask is if next month you could come back to us and summarize how our property tax kind of flows through the tax assessor's office, kind of what we're paying for that's retained by the county, and what portion goes on to the site authority and what that's supposed to pay for. Because we have some services we pay for here directly to the site authority that might normally be, a municipal or a county type of service. And so we're not quite sure.
Well, I love those kind of wonky bureaucratic issues, and I'd be happy to delve into that and get back to you. Yes.
Oh, that would be terrific. I'd be very delighted to hear the answer.
Typically, homeowner taxes go into the county general fund, go into the fire district, et cetera. Whether or not you have a share that comes directly to the site authority is an intriguing question, and one I'll be happy to get you an answer for.
Great. Look forward to that.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate it. And the general fund is a little opaque for some of us, and we kind of like to know what the general fund actually does. And I assume you'll refer us to the county budget, but none of us.
Well, I'm afraid so. Yes, it is online. Yeah, the county general fund pays for the 7,000 county employees. We have a $2 billion a year overall county budget, and within that there are the special districts, the fire district, various water sewer districts, etc. Little of it goes into the road system that's funded separately. So county government is both a regional government for certain regional services, primarily the social and justice system, and then it's a local government for the unincorporated area for which you are in. So we provide your fire, your police as a local government service in the same manner that a city would within an incorporated city. Technically, we could provide park services in your area. Although I think are you in the Pleasant Valley Park and Rec District? You perhaps are.
We are in the Pleasant Valley District.
Yeah.
And Steve, just as a heads up too, I'm sure you'll come across it. We also pay essentially a Mello-Roos. We have a community financial district here. So we
Yeah.
have that being collected by the county tax assessor as well. So
Yeah,
that's, we can set that aside, but you should come across that.
right. And by law, those funds are set aside. That's the exact term that's used for the specific purposes for which they're collected, and they do not go into the general fund. Oh,
Yeah,
one thing Supervisor Parks had me take up again is the issue of a bike trail between the city of Camarillo and CSUCI. And so I've made some inroads with both Pleasant Valley Park and Rec and the County Transportation Commission. So we'll be working on that.
Okay, great.
That would be great. We also have folks in the community who've tried to work on connecting hiking trails from here into the recreation area, the national recreation area. And there we may have some unique homeowner blockages to having a clear pathway, and help at looking at that kind of thing would be appreciated too.
The Broom Ranch, who's one of the benefactors of the campus, of course, but yeah, I'll put that on my list. It's another thing I would enjoy working on.
Well,
I would
thank you.
say let's just give him one thing at a time. One thing at a time.
we're very excited that you've joined us. And yes, one thing at a time is completely fine.
I think the tax issue is number one.
Yeah.
I love the fact we have somebody who likes talking about property taxes. Goody. Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One wonk is identifying another here, and we think that's all good.
Look forward to continuing our conversation.
Thank you, Steve, so very much. We're so glad you've joined us. Let's move on to approval of our previous meeting minutes. They've been sent to members of the HAC who were present as members at the June meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Am I hearing Kevin and Malia saying yes?
I wasn't there at the June meeting.
Oh, okay.
Oh, somebody said that they had a question for Steve Oberman. Somebody just chatted that in. I don't know how they were. Whoever chatted that in, can you tell us how you're logged into this call so everybody else can be able to chat things in?
It might be Simhan. He was wanting to have a question.
So IB allowed him to speak, and that's the reason he was allowed to chat. Yeah.
Ah,
Well, what was the question? Can we find out?
He's
We've
allowed.
lost Steve, right?
I'm back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Simhan is available to speak or write in the chat.
okay. Simone, can you give us the question?
Yeah, his question is, what are the plans on emergency management and disaster management?
Yes, that's a very big question there. We have the Sheriff's Office of Emergency Services that coordinates with the fire department for emergency management countywide. And, you know, I don't have the answer on the top of my head as to what the plan is for coordination with the university and communication with HOAs, et cetera, in your area.
I think perhaps the question is more like evacuation plans that we have in place and whether or not they've been approved.
Excellent question.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer to that, but I'd be happy to add that to my list as well.
Well, let's just do one thing at a time.
Okay.
we have Arnie here on the line.
So
Campus.
can we encourage Simone to please come to next week's town hall? And potentially there's an answer at the town hall to his question. Shall we move on now to our public safety report? Arnie is online.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Mhm.
You're good? Okay, excellent. Nice to see everybody. haven't been to an HAC meeting in a while, so this is nice to see some of the familiar faces. As far as public safety, it's been fairly quiet summer. Not much to report. Just knowing that the university will be back into somewhat of a kind of business as usual back in mid-August. You're going to start seeing a lot more traffic. Individuals who have been admitted, they're going to be coming around. The university as a whole will start to kind of waken up again, more so than it's been in the last year, because they're still working out some details as far as regulations, COVID. So there's no real answers on that yet, but you will see a lot more traffic over the next month before the fall 2021 semester begins. So just kind of plan for that. Parking lots will start to get full again. Traffic along Camarillo University Drive will start to be a little bit busier, so our officers will be out there to help, enforce any speeding and whatnot to make sure that it's safe for all in the area. You'll probably see, or for the next couple of weeks, continue to see construction out on University Drive as they try to finish the solar site project. They're in the process of connecting that solar site to the university. So up and down University Drive, there's been crews out there working. So you may see some stop signs, some construction crews on the road or near the road as they try to get those all those wires worked out. As far as any kind of crimes, again, it's been pretty quiet on the campus and in the University Glen community as a whole. Just a couple of reminders. We've had some minor and this isn't really anything about right now, but just in general, phishing and scamming issues, calls for service. So just be mindful of, computer safety, social media, things like that, and not to click on, links that you're not familiar with, or, just look for those kind of phishing expeditions where individuals try to scam money out of individuals. So just be cautious of that. Just normal, just watch out for, your social media accounts, look for anything suspicious. So that's something that we teach our students, new students, and faculty and staff as well, but we just wanted to reiterate that to our UGlyn residents as well. But as far as other safety measures, there's really no other information to report. Just be aware that the campus is really going to start waking up over the next month. You'll see a lot more activity, so which is fun, but it's also I can imagine, as residents, could be frustrating at first, especially those first few weeks, as there might be a lot more cars on campus as students are trying to figure out schedules and they're trying to crash classes. So those first couple of weeks are always, somewhat hectic. So just, we ask for some patience and some forgiveness, and know that it'll, slowly kind of start to level out over the, over the semester. So does anybody have any questions about anything?
Yeah, Officer Camp, I noticed a couple weeks ago the gate to the county park was open. Does that mean the campus is open to pedestrians now?
Yes, it is. Yes, yeah. That decision was made there at the end of June, early part of July. That as far as closures, whatnot, yeah, the park will be open sun up to sundown, as it has been in the past. The campus itself, yes, it's open. Again, there's still a lot of question marks. We have questions with regards to what those COVID restrictions look like, whether the masks are going to be required, with regards to vaccinations and voluntary submittals of, of vaccination records. We don't have the answers to that. That's something that they're still working out at the chancellor level, the president level. So there's a lot of stuff still, unknown at this point. But as of right now, yeah, the campus is open and the park is open.
Thank you.
Welcome. Any other questions, concerns?
I don't see any attendees raising their hands.
Thank you very much, Officer
Welcome.
Camp.
You know where we're at. If you need anything, don't hesitate to give us a call or come on down to the police station. We're here for you.
Thanks so very much.
All right. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
And now let's turn to our Brightview staff landscape update. Lazaro, do you want to start?
Yes, thank you so much for having us. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
I'm using my truck as my office today. So hopefully I have good reception, but just I know we have some new landscape, some new committee members. So just wanted to introduce my team. My name is Lázaro Ramos. I am the branch manager for the Ventura area. And so I represent Brightview locally. And then I have with me today Jose Diaz, who is my enhancements manager, and he's a big part of big role player for the phase 1 enhancement project that is taking place. So that's why he's attending tonight. And then I think on the phone, I also have Eric Lopez, who is like boots on the ground every day. He's the account manager that oversees the day-to-day operations for University Glen. So I just wanted to give a quick kind of what we do, what each of us do. And so I'm excited to welcome to the new committee members and looking forward to work with you guys. So I'll give the floor to Jose so he can give us an update on the where we stand with the refurbishing project, and then maybe Eric can jump on and give us a quick update on what's going on with the day-to-day landscape maintenance operations.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jose Diaz. Can everybody hear me? Awesome. Well, hello. Nice to meet everybody. For all those new committee members, I've only joined a couple committee meetings, so thank you for having me and having Brightview. So yeah, just going into the landscape project, the single family and townhome phase was completed at the end of last month, the end of June. So all of that is has been in the ground for a couple of weeks now. Has been fully finished for a couple of weeks. I am continuing to monitor all the plant, making sure they are healthy and aren't dying. And if they are kind of dying or stretching out, we are monitoring the water and or planning on replacing everything. So everything that is dead or dying will be replaced if it doesn't make it through. So just be mindful that we'll get it all in one clean swoop. I have plans of replacing some plant material in the beginning of next week. So that's already been set, and we've noted the plants in the areas that the plants are decreasing in health. So all that is on our minds and has been noted. Besides that, everything else is going good. The roundabouts were completed as well. And now we are going into the apartment phase, and that is going smoothly as well. If there's any questions for me now.
So Jose, can you give your email address that we've put in place so that folks can contact you with issues that they see?
Yeah, do you want me to put it in the chat or just say it?
You can put it in the chat. We're just not sure how many people can see it. So I think you need to both do that and say it.
So I just pulled it up. It's uglandrefurb.phase1@gmail.com.
So there's not an official Brightview email address for you?
What was it?
There's not an official Brightview email address for you, just clarifying.
This is just specific for the landscape project.
Okay.
So if somebody is noticing problems with the new plantings that are being done, this is the email address that, as I understand it, that they should use. Is that correct?
Yeah. And with any other concerns, this is strictly just for the landscape refurbishing.
And Jay, could I ask you to reiterate that in the e-blast tomorrow?
Sure, I can
Thank you
add
very
that.
much, so that everybody will have it. And that way they'll have an avenue to communicate. We've got more eyes and individuals in the community than we know you guys have. And that way
Definitely,
we
I
can
only have
identify issues sooner.
Yeah.
We have a question.
As you're looking at plants where they're stressing and having problems, is that a water issue? Is it a soil? What kinds of issues do you think you're really confronting here?
I think the biggest issue right now is just the kangaroo paws, and I think the root cause of that issue is just I don't think I planted them in time after I got them delivered to the site. I think they were sitting in the parking lot a little too long, so they stressed out a little too much, and the shock was a little too much once they were planted. That's kind of one of the only plants that are kind of struggling right now, but it's noted, and we have it under control right now.
And we should reiterate that under the plant guarantee, these are replaced at no additional cost either for plants or labor to the community.
No, we do this it's all included.
Okay.
We have a question from on the chat. When was the last time the irrigation controllers were updated?
What exactly does that mean? We adjusted the times, the run times for all the newly planted areas once we finished planting them. So it's been about a couple of weeks. So we still haven't changed it. We still haven't toggled down the water. We're going to give it a little bit more, especially now that it's getting warmer. So we're going to give it a little bit more time to kind of grow in a little bit more until we toggle down the water.
Okay, yeah, they said time controller and flow rates.
Yeah, if I may add to that, I think Jose's right. I think we had this conversation with Jake. Initially, especially the first month is crucial that we give enough water to the newly installed plants. And so we'll probably start toggling back maybe after the second month. And I think that's only, it's not every single, this is just for the refurbishing project, the roundabouts, the single family homes on Landing Cove and Anacapa. And so everything else, it's still on the same watering schedule, which is Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. That's when we are allowed to water for the community. Right now, the phase 1 refurbishing project is on a special watering cycle so that we ensure that it has enough water. And so once we feel that the plants are like established, then we will put them back on the same watering schedule with the rest of the plant material in the community.
Are Lazaro or Jose, are the watering zones pretty well segregated between the new project plants versus the old plants, the plants in the alley? How much commingling is there in the watering?
There isn't much at all. Actually, I don't think there is any at all. I think as far as the townhome side, there's 1 or 2 valves per block, and it's the same thing on the single family homes. And then the alleys are on different valves as well. So it's all independent of each other.
I have another question in the chat. Question on phase 2, when will it overlap now that phase 1 project is out of sync?
Jake, do you want to handle that one?
Right now, we're talking about phase 2 of the landscape refurbishing. Right now, the landscape refurbishing is figured for next February, March, April kind of time, with phase 3 coming shortly behind that. That's kind of next spring is when we're looking, late winter, early spring. And so we'll be looking at that probably starting I've got some of the financing of it and how the number of doors for which phase is already in place. And so, I can work with the landscape committee and keep them up to date as far as the schedule. But right now we had put out that phase 2 would be February, March, April, and then phase 3 would be April, May, June next year. The same time, phase 3 would be the same time frame kind of that we did this year. So hopefully we would be done by the end of this fiscal year with the entire refurbishing project, phase 1, 2, and 3.
And then we have a follow-up question. Will it overlap with the new budget cycle?
So the answer to that question is what was done in phase 1 was in the last budget cycle. Phase 2 and phase 3 are planned for what is now the current year budget cycle, beginning in July and running through June of 2022.
Actually, a little clarification.
Oh, all right.
There's about $170,000 per budget year. And so this phase 1 was part of 2021. Phase 2 will be basically 21, 22, and then the remainder, the phase 3, will be paid for in 22, 23.
Okay, so even though you're doing it in
Right.
21, 22, you're not going to see a bill until the following year.
Yeah, that's what we're
You're not going to accept the project until the following year.
correct.
Checks in the mail.
So
Okay.
yeah.
I have another question. And I'm in phase 1. I don't understand why there's so much mulch. It's falling all over the sidewalk. And when the winds come in October, what's the plan for that mulch? There's a lot of it. And if it catches on fire, it's a disaster.
Typically, when we mulch, we add anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of mulch. I don't think that we added more than 3 inches of mulch. That's typically what anybody will do for mulching purposes. I'll make sure that I review the areas with Jose and Eric. And I think the only thing that we can do is make sure that the mulch is not gonna be overflowing into the walkway so that it's safe for people to walk. And so that's the only thing that we do. Like whenever we do the projects, like Jose, the team, what they usually do, they shovel cut along the walkways so that we have an indentation of 3 to 4 inches, so that when we come back and we install the mulch is at least below. In some of the areas, we do have some slope, so it's kind of hard to go about those areas. So we'll have to treat them as, I'm hoping we have rain, but I don't think that this year we didn't have as much rain as we wanted to. But I think if rain comes, then we'll just have to make sure that we are prepared for that.
Well, it is flowing on the sidewalk in front of my house in particular. There's no blocking, but my question also had to do with fire, and you mentioned rain. With rain, the mulch will float down the sidewalk. With fire, it could catch on fire. So, and with the winds, it could blow away. So what's the plan for the fall?
Carolyn, this has to do with budget and how much money we had in to do the refurbishing. Because, in the long run, I think from a fire standpoint, everyone would agree that DG would be the better way to go. And at this point, it's like that the plan is to finish using the mulch, because from a budget standpoint, we had $500,000 to do it. And so that is the approach that we had talked about. And for those areas that are specific, that we have concerns about, that are either within 5 feet of a building, the townhouses. We've done that. We've added some DG, and on those where there are slopes that we're concerned about the mulch not staying, we're addressing those really on a one by one basis, because at the present time we don't have the budget to do it. It takes about 3 years to pay for 3.5 years of mulch pay for the DG. And so, I look forward to us talking about it and figuring out how we can.
So let me encourage us to try to continue with the rest of the agenda at this point, because we're running about 25 minutes behind right now on our conversation. So thank you, Brightview, for your update. Other questions, we'll try to funnel through the email to you and get answers that we can then post and get back to the community. But we appreciate you joining us tonight.
One thing, Lazaro, could you comment on the dog park?
Yes. Unfortunately, the dog park is not recovering as we wanted to. What we have done recently, we picked up some seed, which we spread this week. We also seeded and top dressed, which should provide some heat to the seed and allow for better germinations. We will be watering the dog park every day except for Mondays and Fridays, or Fridays and Mondays, because we are not allowed to water during those days, so that we can encourage that seed to really take over. I'm hoping that in the next 30 to 45 days that we can really see some significant progress, so that we can reopen those the area that we fenced off. But that's kind of the update with the dog park right now.
Thank you very much. Tom, you're up for a report on the public comments on the edited rules and regulations.
Okay, I'll try and make this real quick. Running behind schedule, but there were 3 surveys done when we asked the community for comments. One was the UG CAM request for comments, and then we had 2 other homeowners who conducted their own surveys. And so I'm going to report real quickly on all 3, just kind of what those results summarize to. So I'll start with the UG CAM survey. So that survey came back with 27 responses. And in those responses, there are 119 articles in the draft survey that we sent out. So for the UG CAM survey, out of those 119 articles, they're kind of line items that were in that document. There were comments on 51 of them. So a little bit less than half received comments. The other articles received no comments whatsoever. The top couple of articles that received comments, there were 10 comments related to the pots and yard art article, covering that topic. 9 comments on the blackout window coverings article. 8 on unnecessarily loitering, and the next highest was 7 for suntan lotion and body oil. So most of the comments from that survey were related to rules that actually have been in place for a bit of time. So that was kind of interesting. Moving on to a second survey done by a resident, was done on a next door neighbor, which I normally don't follow, but I did go in the last couple of days to review that survey. It was basically a thumbs up, thumb down survey. And there were 26 responses. And basically the question was, do you reject or accept the draft articles that are in the in the draft, and 19% of those respondents accepted the draft as it is, ready to go out the door. 81% rejected one or more articles and said, no, it's not acceptable. The final survey pulled in 22 respondents. They were asked a high-level question of whether or not you support the proposed rules. 90% rejected and 9% supported. So 9% said it's good to go. 90% said there's at least one issue or more that make this not acceptable. And in terms of that survey, kind of the top item that came out of comments on that survey was related to bike use on the basketball court. And right behind that was the yard art article, people having comments or objections to that. So that's generally what we had, with comments kind of scattered around a little bit on various parts of the draft document. From here, I think the HAC and Sandy, you need to, as our chair, I think, guide us forward on what we do with the comments. In the end, our role is to send something off to the site authority saying, we're happy with this. Here's what we'd like to recommend be changed. And then the site authority takes that into advisement and makes changes as they see fit. My sense is the site authority is anxious to follow our guidance. We give them great air cover as they move forward in changing the rules and regulations. So I think they'll give our recommendations a lot of weight. But this has to go to the site authority and to the site authority board. They have to look at it, decide on what the final version of the addendum is going to be, notify all the owners, send it out, wait an appropriate period of time, and then take it to the vote of the site authority board, and it's done. So that's generally how this will likely flow.
So I come down on this thinking that we need to look at the objections and go back and figure out whether these are objections to rules that have been in place basically since the beginning, or whether they're objections to some of the changes that have been made. But I think I like your suggestion, Tom, that we deal with that as a committee of the whole kind of issue. And with the HAC's concurrence, I'll try to find a time for a working session where we actually do what the rules committee that worked on this for over a year did multiple times, which is we took the document, we went through it page by page. We looked for things that were anomalous or made no sense and fixed them as best, at least we felt we fixed them. And I think we need to do that, and we need to identify for the community where items are not new. They're things that have been there because many of the objections fall into that category. Having this been my only volunteer for the committee job last year, that's my perception.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of good comments for old rules and new rules. They all need to be looked at. The committee needs to, decide how to move forward with them. For example, Carolyn's provided a lot of comments. I believe a lot of the concerns raised can be dealt with fairly easily and quickly. A lot of wordsmithing, clarification. There's a lot of concern about how a rule might be interpreted and implemented. We need to, but I think probably as important as anything, we need to explain when we meet, we need to do it in an open forum. We need to explain why some of these rules are the way they are, because some of them are driven by industry standards, some are driven by experience we have in the community with issues, some are driven by other issues that all need to be explained, discussed in the committee, and decide whether that all makes sense.
Well, and I agree it needs to be done in an open way. And I would suggest that the process we adopt is that we do one more of these massive work-through proposals, and then we produce a document which we submit to the entire community one more time. And
well, that would, okay.
And Sandy, this is Malia. I agree with that 100%. I also think, so somebody, Mary Welser chatted in that a paper copy needs to be given to all who pay CAM fees, just like the CAM elections were done. While I oppose that from a sustainability perspective, because we're spending a lot of paper, I agree absolutely 100% that we need to do that. Because a lot of people are overwhelmed with the amount of emails that they receive. And so I agree that we need to provide it, although it is not sustainable from a green perspective. I think it is important that we provide them in writing. That said, we're 7 minutes to 7 o'clock and we are literally 33 minutes behind. So I think we got to keep it going.
Yeah. What if we just made a paper copy available for pickup at Jake's office? So if those who feel like they need a physical paper can go pick one up, and those of us who are fine on the computer looking at it can save the paper.
Well, I want to say something. I've said it to the committee. I see rules that I believe have been developed without the input from the stakeholders, such as the garden rules. Somebody that I don't know made the rules. They didn't ask me. I see our RV rules. I see rules about vehicles on the sidewalk and the tot lot. And I'm not sure these rules were developed or even.
So Carolyn, we understand.
So let me finish. So I don't think that happened. I don't think it happened. I know it didn't. And I think that there needs to be a red line. And I think when you change a rule, you need to tell the people the purpose of changing the rule. And that's what I've been saying. And I haven't heard that that's going to happen. Simply picking up a changed document does not tell the people why you're changing it. They need to know why.
And that's what should happen in the meeting.
I think that's
right.
No, it needs to happen in the document.
I agree with Carolyn. It does need to happen within the document because not everybody's going to be able to join the meeting.
Let's take this offline, because to put all the comments in, it will be a longer document than the rules document itself.
I mean, the comments about why you're changing it, not the, well, if you can't tell us why, I don't think.
We can do it verbally.
No, I disagree with that. It has to be in writing.
Can we take this discussion into our first working session and figure out a way forward there? So
we're going to have to, because we're way behind.
Okay.
But I agree with Carolyn.
I hear what Malia and Carolyn are both saying. Tom and I come from the perspective of having worked on this for a year, so that we have seen it and worked through it, and we kind of understand where everything came from. I do think building the links into the document for the history is important. We do not have the kind of software to support that available to us easily. So let's have that conversation, and let's kind of move on from here to our committee reports. And if we can do them very briefly, Malia, does social activities have anything they'd like to say?
Yep. Okay. So I have a couple of things for everybody. Number one, I want to apologize because I didn't get a newsletter out in July. That was partially because of the holiday, but also partially because I'm simply not receiving content from the community. And I was hoping that this would be a community-driven document each month. So if you haven't seen the newsletter, Jake sends it out via e-blast whenever I get it to him, usually very close to the beginning of the month. If you don't have my email address, I will drop it into the chat. My email address is meliahopper@yahoo.com, MELEAHOPPER@yahoo.com. I would really like for this to be a community-driven document that I put out each month. So if you have any ideas of things that you would like to share, this is meant to be part of the social committee. So it should be a social document. I'm not looking to have this be about a commentary about anything. I want it to be a social document that we can share events or life events, whatever it is that you want to share with the rest of the community. This is your place to share or your platform to share all of that information. So again, I've put my email address in the chat. If you have things that you would like to share, please send them to me. Also, we're going to start our summer movie series down at the sports field. The first movie will be July 31st at sunset. We haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but we have built the rental of the projector, sound system, screen, et cetera, into our social committee budget, which has already been approved. The one thing that we are looking for is a generator. So if you are out there and you would like to loan us a generator, it was not in our budget to actually purchase a generator out of this year's budget. So please let us know. Again, you can email me at that same email address if you would like to let us use one for that event. And then just real quickly, Jake, just to clarify, this is actually for social committee's clarification. The invoices that we receive for these events, we submit those to you for payment, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Malia, in
We can
terms of the
talk more
power,
specifically about that.
can you tie into the power outlet where the garden is?
I
We have
don't
power
think
there.
I don't know that we can, but I can definitely. Kevin, can you ask Maisha that?
Is there power at the
I'm
garden?
leveraging your geographical.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's, I'm not sure there's power at the garden, so.
Well, there's a light bulb working there. I saw it in the utility shed a couple weeks ago.
In the shed?
I believe that's where it was.
Okay.
Anyway, check it out.
Yeah, we'll look into the power out there. I know the timers are on batteries, so.
I mean,
That'd be great. I mean, if we had access to power out there, that'd be even better. But I'm pretty sure Maisha would have vetted that already. That is all I have for the social committee.
Thank you. Tom, Carol, and Kevin, landscape.
well, let me jump in. So I'm the new chairman. Is that right, Sandy?
That's
Okay. All right.
That's where it is.
Okay. So we did hold a meeting without Carolyn and Kevin. That was my fault on Sunday with the other existing members of the committee as we knew it. So we need to regroup again and step back and reorganize. Malia and I were kind of initially running as co-chairs. So we're going to step back and reset. We discussed how to organize either functionally or with a block captain or a geographic concept. So we need to revisit that again now that we have Carolyn and Kevin on board. So we'll do that fairly soon and move forward.
Okay. Garden committee. Who would like to report for garden committee?
Yeah, the garden committee is working on setting up a meeting as we speak, hopefully in the next week or so. Some of the topics that we have to discuss would be rules around the garden and to discuss the garden expansion that's currently in the 21-22 budget. So we're gonna look at where we might be able to do that expansion and what it might look like. So hopefully we'll be meeting here soon.
Okay, great. Kevin, were you able to take a look at from the end of the year, the June report? Were you able to see that?
Yeah, I was able to take a look at the June finances. So so that statement represents the end of the fiscal year as well. So on a monthly basis, June looked like a pretty normal month, nothing too crazy. Things were pretty much in line with the budgeted expenditures. Now, I don't think that report actually represents the year-end report. So it
does not.
It would just be kind of an estimate of where we basically are, without accruals or any other examinations of whether or not we needed to move some expenses around, perhaps between reserves and operating or accrue anything. So on a kind of non-accrual estimated basis, we were about $55,000 over budget, which on a $1.7 million budget is not too bad. And I think that pretty much each of the individual items that created the $55,000 overage was pretty well documented, and we know why we were over. So I think those are things we'll just need to examine as we consider our 21-22 budget. to make sure that we don't have to make any adjustments to that. So, but I don't think we do, because it was really kind of like bills that were surprise bills that maybe we don't continue to expect. So I think it was looking okay.
So the bag has not yet met in the new fiscal year. We tried to have a meeting this week. We weren't able to do it. So there isn't a report from the bag at this point. So Malia, I know you had a transition meeting with Tom today. Do you want to?
I did. I'm not ready to report out on the community advisory group as of yet. I do have a list of pending issues that I will be reviewing, and I'll report out next month.
Super. Okay. Jake, you're up.
Okay, just wanted to mention some specific things that are coming up. On Monday, the 19th, and Tuesday, the 20th, the Townside Pool and Spa will be closed because we are, there were some tiles that came off the water line of the pool. And so we'll drain the pool below the water line, and then the pumps won't work while it's low. And then it needs to dry out. They need to put that on, and then they need to make sure it's staying dried for 8 hours, and then fill it back up and start everything again. And so we're looking at starting on Monday morning. They'll close it, and then they will reopen it hopefully on Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. So
Jake, can I ask one question about the Townside Pool real quickly? I know we got some of the furniture, the white and navy blue furniture back, but I know we're still missing some. Do you know what the estimate is for when we'll get the rest of the furniture back?
Thanks for bringing it up. I'll look into it to see where it is. Some of it, yeah. Thanks, Malia. Yeah, just on the list. Thanks. Okay. The next thing is that on Monday, July 19th, Precision Concrete Cutting, you'll start seeing their personnel in the community. They will work probably between 2 and 3 weeks on the trip hazards, and this includes the trip hazards at the garage aprons, parking aprons, which to my knowledge have not been addressed
Ever
before. And so it's a rather extensive project. And so if there are specific areas that you're concerned of, I know several people have sent me emails about specific locations. Feel free to do that. Most of them are covered in the proposal. You may remember earlier last fall, they came and there were lots of numbers all over the place, and they will come back and redo that. And so
if we can still see the number and we know it was included in the list, we don't need to talk to you, right?
That is correct. That is correct. Thank you. And so, so that is going to be happening over the next 2-3 weeks, starting next Monday. I don't know, I guess I can mention it. This is today, Sandy and I met with people from the site authority and facility services, and we're talking with the SoCal Gas people. They're looking at locating a pole that is about 29 feet tall, somewhere in the vicinity of the vehicular bridge on Channel Islands, with the intention that it'll have a monitoring device at the top that is solar powered. And this is intended to be able to take all the readings throughout the community, and the positioning of it will include being able to read all the new meters in the 32 acres. So today we met, and also James Salazar with Mission Hills was at that meeting too. So everyone that had a stake was in the conversation. And so they are going to move forward with that. It's really through facility services. There isn't anything that we here in the East Campus or UGCAM is involved with, except that we'll put the doggy station at the bottom of it after they put the pole up. So I wanted to let you know that was going on. That's the one other thing I wanted to mention was that recently with site authority personnel, we had a conversation with our insurance carrier who raised a concern about the liability of all of the swings in the common area. And so I will be sending notifications to the individuals that have swings that are suspended from common area trees, that the process to request a swing in the common area is through a property improvement application. And until it is approved, at that point, we're really asking people to take the swings down. So this is one is that the ground sublease offers that in the common area, and it was reiterated with our insurance carrier that they were concerned about it. So I wanted to bring that to people's attention. So when I send them out, that you go, well, at least we heard about it. Doesn't change the frustration I'm sure many people will have, but that is where we are. So that kind of wraps it up from what I've got. Maybe I can help move this along. So maybe we meet our 7:15 time.
I have a hand raised.
Okay.
Yeah, hi, this is Tina. I'm Jake. I'm going to ask this question during this,
Okay.
during your report. I asked this question in the June public comment section, but I think this is such an important item that I don't think it belongs in public comment. And that has to do, and I sent an email to Rosa and Jake about this earlier today. And that has to do with the insurance presentation that took place on April 12th. And the person probably wasn't familiar with our particular situation because she did not have answers to some of our questions. And so she was going to get back to Rosa, which Rosa said in June's meeting that she had in fact done that. But those answers to our questions are not on the website. And so I think it's really super important, particularly when we have, county supervisor people coming to talk about fires and things like that, that we as community know what we are covered for and what we're not covered for. And so, and the information you must have, so we don't need a fancy video about it. It must have come in an email or a memo. So just lift the text and put it on the website so that we have that. The other thing is that the insurance information on the website is outdated. It expired July 1. So kindly, I ask that the most current one be put up there. So one question for Jake, and then I have a request for HAC. And let me do my request to HAC first. Next month's meeting, many of us, and I'm actually speaking not just for myself, but for many of my colleagues here. We go back to school, so we're not going to be able to come to these evening meetings because our work is often at night, particularly, that first week of campus opening. And so what I'm asking HAC is two things. One is to make sure that this insurance follow-up is on the agenda so that, so that we get the information. And then I ask you as my elected representatives to keep on top of it because I don't think I will be able to attend any of these meetings during the fall because of my teaching schedule. I teach the night shift here. So I'm looking to you as my elected representatives to follow up on this and make sure that we get the information that we need. So I guess my question, and I'll conclude with this one. My question to Jake then is that when can we expect the two pieces of information on the website?
So Tina, if I go back into minutes, will I find your exact questions already documented somewhere? Because I'm happy to take this item on. The insurance has been one of my pet projects for all the time I've been involved in governance.
So, as a community member, I didn't see the June meeting minutes. You all saw them, you approved them.
No,
I don't know if my question was there.
The minutes will get posted. I suspect I might find your questions if I watch the whole video, which I admit I have not done yet.
Okay, let me just step in here, okay?
Okay.
Our office was concerned about this, Tina, after your email. And I talked to Rosa, and Rosa is sending us that information, which Ivy and I will work to get that all up. as soon as possible. So yes, we are getting that information, okay? Regarding, and we will get it up. You know, I anticipate it'll be by the, I would like it to be sooner, but I can only promise to the end of the month because that's because of various things going on, okay? The other thing is regarding the insurance certificates. Today I received the certificate for the general liability, which I had been asking for because many of you owners have asked me, and Rosa had it. She sent it to me, so I have it in my possession. And the two people that asked for it, I will send to, and then I'll put it onto the web so other people can get it there. The earthquake insurance, the new certificate has not been. Rosa does not have it yet. But the general liability, I do have it through July 1, 2022. And so I will post that shortly. Okay.
But the certificate's not the policy, so you'll post the policy also, Jake?
The policy is already there.
Oh, because I thought Tina said it was expired.
No, the certificate is expired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jake, one more question from the chat. Do we have an update on whether we're going to be able to meet in the rec room for the August meeting?
We
The
don't.
answer is no. I asked the question again yesterday, and the answer is still, I don't have an answer.
Okay, and who's responsible for making that decision?
I think it's I think our folks, our site authority folks are viewing that this is contingent upon general university decisions that still aren't complete. Now they're moving forward to bring folks back to campus in mid-August. You would think our mid-August meeting ought to qualify if they're bringing folks onto campus. So I will continue to push in order to do this.
How does the university decide when we meet together or where we meet? I don't think the university can decide who I
think the other thing that comes into this is that Mission Hills, as the owner of the community room and the amenity, have put some restrictions on that. You know, it's like generally, for instance, outside and in many places, masks are not required. If you look, Mission Hills has required masks to be worn in the community room. And so, just they, as the owner of the amenity, do have the right to determine how it is used. And at the present time, those are the guidelines. And so, my conversations with the management of Mission Hills is that I think that they may be amenable to that idea with some understandings. And at the same time, just as we had talked about the park, the gate being open, and so is the park open, I think that is a good question to ask. And I can ask Rosa and Lori Nichols, what is their criteria for us to meet in person or not?
I guess, Jake, I've asked, but maybe you'll get further faster than I have.
So there's also suggestions coming in about if we can't meet in the rec room, maybe we can possibly meet at the basketball courts or another open area, maybe the town center, open areas where those sort of restrictions would not be in place. So maybe it's something that we can look at as an HAC team and decide, because I do think that there is definitely a public outcry to be able to meet in person as well as via Zoom. So, I mean, we definitely have enough seating out in the town center, even if we can't use the rec room. They've moved all of those tables out from the enclosed eating area into the town center. So not only would we be outside, but we'd also be socially distanced. So definitely probably something we could look at doing.
Thank you. Okay, all right. So Tina, did that ask, hopefully that answered Tina Itkonen's questions.
Okay, we are at 7:15, which means it is time for public comments. Do we have any public comments this evening?
I put mine on the text here, but it looks like you can't get it. So Sandy, my questions, and I wasn't the only one. The specific scenario types of questions are at the end of the insurance presentation. which is on the website. It took place on April 12th, so you'll find them there. So
Thank you. I will go.
I
thank
appreciate you
I
looking
will
into
go
that.
looking. I will go looking.
Well,
Do we have anyone who wishes to make public comments this evening?
I have a comment. I'm not seeing anything in the chat, but I do agree that this is not the best forum to meet. And if the people, there we go. The rules cannot move forward until the residents have a say. That's a public comment. Do you want to know from who? Does it matter?
I always believe attribution is important.
From Mr. McClone, Patrick McClone.
He's not the only one that's chatted that in though during this meeting. So I don't think who it is really imperative.
That's
There's
true.
been several comments about this topic during this meeting and before this meeting. So I think we just need to go back to the drawing board, which is, I think, what we have agreed to do.
I have a comment that that I've been thinking about every day when I go to work, and that's the potholes on Camarillo Street. When the university started storing the vehicles and had the big trucks come in and drive over the roads, they told us that they were putting back money to pay to repair the road if the roads were damaged. The road is damaged on the way out of Camarillo Street, and there hasn't been a correct patch placed in that road for 3 years. And I'm just wondering where that money is and when there's going to be a correct patch for that area. And everyone knows where that area is. That's my comment.
Carolyn, that sounds like something that maybe I should take to the CAG. So if you could drop me an email, I know you're saying it here, but it's definitely something that I'll take up with the CAG on the 29th.
Yeah, I think it's time that that road gets more than patched at this point, because they've tried to a few times and it just comes right out. That road needs to resurface.
We have a question that says, how can homeowners log issues so that the HAC can address?
So I believe we have a group email that Sandy.
There are a couple of ways. First of all, I'd like to encourage anybody who's interested in working on one of the committees this year, volunteer by sending an email with their contact information that includes in the subject line the name of the committee they're volunteering for. And the email is HAC input, all one word. So it's HACINPUT@gmail.com. And if you have other comments that you would like to get to the HAC and you would like to use an email to do that, please feel free to use that email for that purpose. And the emails will get read and then they will be distributed to all of the members of the HAC. Well, we'd especially like you to volunteer for a committee. We need all the help we can get. The issues that face our community never seem to get smaller. Every time we get into something, it is more complex than it appeared on the surface, and more brains are better than the 5 you see on the panel tonight. So we'd love to have those of you who wish to be involved to get involved.
The landscape committee, we need a lot of help there. It's a grueling job. It was very difficult for my first year. I'm happy to be passing it on to other people, but honestly, we cannot have enough people on that committee. If you don't like your landscape, if you want to see it better, please join the committee. It
And
doesn't
And Tom has some great ideas for how to organize that input so that it can be more effectively communicated.
Tom's
So-
Tom's trying to backstep his way out of his screen right now.
I understand, but I think his landscape core is just a really cool idea.
yeah, we had
We just
talked
need
about
more
having
people.
block captains for your block, one person that takes charge of just their block and reports up. That's not that big of a deal. You just do a checklist. We can figure that out.
Mhm.
Okay, we're already past. So do we want to adjourn to do PIAs? I don't even know if we have any.
So
We have
we
three of
have,
them.
we have no other public comments? Then I'll entertain, if there are no other public comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to PIAs.
I'd second the motion.
All right.
All right, shall we adjourn? Thank you all who attended the meeting. We appreciate your frustration with the format and appreciate your patience as we work to get back to in-person meetings.
But the residents can still stay for the architectural committee meetings or not?
It's an executive session.
It's an executive session.
Okay.